Happy birthday to my voiceover career. Welcome back to Day One Voiceover. My name is Robert Vienna, and today I am celebrating my first full year in voiceover. First things first, my daughter's name is on that silly little intro. It's the only thing I had available. I just wanted to use it. But in any case, as you know, this channel has been documenting what it's like to get started in the career of voiceover from day one, from absolute scratch, hence the name of the channel. So in that time, there's quite a bit that I've learned, and I tried to compress it into 10 main points so that I can share here. Now, a bit of a disclaimer. I'm by no means an expert in this industry. As you know, as I just said, this is quite literally just my first year. So while I'm not an expert in the industry, I am a current and absolute expert in what it's like to be in the first year of voiceover. May 20th is when I have this video set to release, and May 20th is when I released my very first video announcing that I was starting the channel and getting ready for this career. And a lot's happened between then and now. So we'll go over some of that. So let's jump in. Number 10, it takes time. As you get started in this career, you might think that, I have a decent voice, I read pretty well, there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do this. But as you start researching what it takes to get into this, you realize that there's even more to research, and there's more to research, and there's more to look into. So it's not just about having the voice. It's about knowing what microphone to buy. It's about knowing where in your home you're going to record. It's about knowing how to treat your space. It's about knowing all of those necessary things, where you're going to find work, who you're going to connect with, who you're going to learn from online. And all of that takes a good amount of time. Don't expect to jump into this and just simply flip on a microphone and start recording. You're never going to see success that way, and you're never going to progress that way. Just know that all the necessary research, all the things you have to read and listen to and watch and practice is going to take an incredible amount of time. Number 9, it takes money. So microphones aren't cheap, interfaces aren't cheap, and treating your space isn't cheap. Doesn't mean you can't do it on a budget. There are great companies like the microphone I use, the Rode NT1, is a fairly low entry point for a good quality microphone. The Scarlett Solo that I use is a fairly low entry point for a good product. And you can treat your space with different things. I'm using my own walk-in closet, so my own clothes provides a ton of sound dampening that provides a big help. But there are other things involved. You have to set up a website. If you're going to jump on the pay-to-plays, that costs money. If you're going to pay someone to do some demos for you, which isn't recommended early on, that costs money as well. And as they say, time is money anyways. So the amount of time that you're going to spend getting into this, it's all going to add up. Now, if you've been following my story, you know that I spent a good amount of time in my first year being unemployed from a regular day job. So I had to make do with as much as I could. And I've probably stretched it more than the average person might have been able to. I've spent about $2,000 in my first year, which for some people is pennies. If you have the resources to jump in and get a quality microphone, treat your space properly, get coaching right from the get-go, then great. And you have the means to do that, fantastic. I didn't have the means, and it still took several $1,000s just to get to where I'm at with fairly entry-level equipment. So just know that that's going to be a part of it. Manage that however you see fit. The bummer for me is that since I'm not really seeing a ton of success quite yet to where I can go and establish myself as an LLC or anything like that, the purchase that I made of my microphone and all that, it's too far in the past for me to be able to write off or anything. But it's all something that you need to be mindful of. I started off with the USB mic, as I've documented on my channel, and it worked kind of well. It did okay. It landed me a couple of jobs, but ultimately you're going to have to invest in better equipment. Number 8, learn your tools. Now, whether that's the microphone or the interface that you'll need, or the software that you're using, or even your recording space, learn it all. Do practice recordings. Set your mic up in your recording space and record. Record softly, record at a mid-range, and then record loud. I found that in my recording space, initially, I thought it was pretty well treated. I was just kind of speaking into the mic pretty closely, sounded fine. And then when I got an audition that required me to raise my voice a little bit, and I played it back, I realized, oh, that actually sounds pretty echoey. And I hadn't realized that because I didn't do the proper testing for it. In addition to that, there have been times where I'm sitting there recording an audition thinking that everything went fine, and when I go to play it back, it's nothing but silence. And it took me a while to figure out what I was doing. I just simply forgot to press the phantom power button, things that you'll have to learn about. When I first started and I was recording my auditions, so that I didn't send them completely raw, I would try to do some EQ and some noise cancellation and things like that, and normalization. And it takes a little time to get to know your DAW so that you're giving it the right processing, the EQ, the normalization, all of that I mentioned, but not have it sound over-processed. You still want to deliver a nice file so that you stand out from the crowd, but you don't want it to sound like you've completely manipulated the heck out of it to the point where they think that you're hiding something, right? It has to be subtle, and it takes time to get there. Even if it just means how you edit your file. So initially I was recording a bunch, and then I was chopping out lead-ins and chopping out spaces and breaths and things like that. And I was left with 15 different blocks of audio, and I didn't know what to do with that. I'd manually move everything together and try and export it that way, until I realized there's a keyboard shortcut. There's a keyboard shortcut to combine that. There's a keyboard shortcut for new files. There's a keyboard shortcut for recording, keyboard shortcut to stop recording and exporting and all of that. Get to know your equipment, because the faster you can do all of that, I wouldn't even say faster is the right word, but the more efficiently you can knock out all those processes, the faster you can submit your auditions and beat other people to them. Number 7, just go for it. Nike had it right all those years ago. You just simply have to do it. One of my past videos, my Fiverr video, started off talking about how I had over-prepared. And I spent too much time planning and researching. And yeah, like I mentioned in lesson number 10, absolutely, you do have a lot of research to do. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't start at some point along the way before you're done researching. You're never going to be done researching. There's always something you can learn. But until you put yourself out there, until you start recording and listening to yourself and playing it back and being critical of yourself, you don't know what it is you need to improve. Compare your stuff to stuff you hear on TV and online and audition sites. You can pull up people's demos on audition sites and see how your voice compares. You just have to put yourself out there. You're not going to know what to improve upon until you actually have something to learn from. Number 6, pay-to-plays are a good starting point. Now, as you do the research that I've been mentioning, you're going to come across dozens of voice actors and established professionals decades into their careers talking pretty negatively about pay-to-plays. Now, I understand why. Some of them have built a reputation for undercutting the talent and paying you a fraction of what you would normally get if you booked the job through an agent or something like that. And that's all well and good. I fully understand that, and I agree with it. But not everyone can just go out and get an agent right away. It takes time, it takes experience. So, for now, they're great starting points. At least I feel so. I've landed some jobs, and it feels great to do that. It gives you a taste of the process. It gives you a taste of knowing what it's like to have an audition come in and have to interpret the directions, interpret the brief, so that you know what kind of read to give. And as you start doing the research to know how to succeed on these websites, because there are plenty of videos out there showing you how to do well on voices.com and Voice123 and all that, those lessons apply towards other auditions that would be off those platforms and would come through agents. They're the same lessons. So if you're going to learn them for the pay-to-plays, that's fine. Apply those same lessons as your career moves on. At some point, and I'm fully aware of this, at some point you want to get to where the pay-to-plays are just supplemental, right? If you've built enough of a base on there and enough success to where you can keep some cash flow coming in through those sites as you are doing the self-marketing and the direct marketing and the agent work, fantastic, cool. I don't see why that would be an issue. I've heard it said that some agents don't like seeing people on those pay-to-plays. Take those as a case-by-case basis, I suppose, but they are good places to start. And I emphasize the word start because it is an ultimate goal to start marketing yourself and win and find work on your own through your own efforts. Number 5, going back to the pay-to-plays, if you are going to use them, at the very least, maximize your opportunities on those pay-to-plays. If you're going to pay the money and take the time to be on these sites, then make sure you're taking full advantage of them. Fill out those profiles to the highest capability possible. Fill out every question, put every keyword that you possibly can, label them as best you can, make your demos. I'm guilty of not having enough demos on these pay-to-plays. I need to put more on there. But those that are on there, I've labeled to their absolute limits. If they allow 10 keywords, put in 10 keywords. In the days of ChatGPT, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to use that and ask it how to maximize these things. What are the best ways to SEO maximize my voices.com profile, my Voice123 profile? And you see what it gives you, at the very least, as to provide some guide rails. But fill out those profiles to their absolute capabilities. You can find plenty of videos online on how to do that. Jesse Carroll recently put out a great video on how to win more work on Voice123, and he talks about that as well. Fill out everything that you possibly can. So if you are going to use the pay-to-plays, make it worth it. Number 4, be humble. And I say that as more of a personal story. So I've been receiving compliments on my voice since I was a teenager, since the moment puberty flipped my voice into pretty close to what it is today. And it was always funny. I have some funny stories to talk about in relation to that, and maybe one of these days I'll share it. But this isn't an industry that you can get by simply by having a nice voice. I forget which of the online coaches I heard say it. Maybe it was Bill DeWeese. But they said, if you ever feel like you're not going to make it in this business because you don't have a good quality voice, just remember that Gilbert Gottfried voiced one of the most iconic characters of our time. And so it goes both ways. Whether you have a good voice or maybe a not so good voice, it's all about interpreting the script and bringing it to life. That's really what's going to win you work. So having a good voice isn't going to get you anywhere. And so, like I said earlier about maybe jumping into this because you feel like you have a good voice, that's cool. It's a good starting point, but it's certainly not going to carry you anywhere unless you know that you need to be taught how to interpret copy. You need to be taught how to emote properly on these reads, which is why I'm starting to believe more and more that AI, while it's been incredibly disruptive in this business, it's never going to know how to emote the way humans do. So at least for the time being, I'm encouraged in that regard. But even people that are established years, decades into this industry still have their coaches. They know that there are things that they need to learn and especially adapt to. With this current political climate that we're in, I've been hearing more and more that the reads that are being asked of us, the briefs, are starting to show more authoritative type reads. Take that for whatever it is. I'm not really sure what's leading to that, but that is a trend that's starting to shift. The whole conversational, John Krasinski, relaxed, almost like apathetic type read is going away, and the industry is swinging back towards a more authoritative type read. And even established people that have been in the business for a long time need that additional coaching and that resetting to put them back in place. Be humble about where you're at. Be humble, even if you've had a ton of success early on. Some people do find it right away, right from the get-go. Be humble about it. Still get your training and get your coaching in place. Number 3, be prepared. Now that falls not only on the category of auditioning, but also live sessions, which is something that you likely will encounter in your first year. It took me a little longer than most people to get my first live session in, but I finally recently did one, and I felt that being prepared was a big part of that. So first of all, when auditioning, if you get an audition come in, you get an alert on your phone, and you run to your studio to record it, you shouldn't have to set things up. You shouldn't have to plug things in, start programs, remember how to start a new file and things like that. This should all just simply be ready. You should be able to walk into your studio, hit record, do what you need to, process what you need to, and send it as efficiently as possible. Now, I say that not so much in regards to you want to be absolutely lightning fast with this, because you still want to take your time, interpret copy, and give a couple of good reads so that it is a good quality read. This isn't just about getting it in before everyone else. But also when it comes to the live sessions, I did enough research to know what to expect. Do your research, know what they're going to ask of you, how it's going to flow. Don't be thrown off, so that you're not thrown off by them asking you to read the same thing 10 times over with just the tiniest little variations here and there. Know that your equipment is ready to record. One thing I didn't even realize with this last session, at no point in time throughout the email communication, throughout the session itself, or even after, was I instructed on how this was going to be recorded. And if I didn't do my research, I wouldn't have recorded, and I just would have assumed that they were recording on their end. But since I knew what to expect, I knew that a lot of times they want you to record, if you're not using Source Connect or something like that, that I should record on my end. And without asking, without really digging into it any further, I just simply recorded the entire thing. And when it was done, I sent an email. I said, "Do you guys want the file now?" And he said, "Sure." I sent it, and it was all done. Again, without ever being instructed to, just because I simply knew and I was prepared what was necessary. Number 2, and this falls under the cringy category, but listen to your past work. So when I first started, I was creating my own DIYs. I was submitting, I wasn't even submitting auditions early on, because I started on Fiverr, and they come to you on Fiverr and they just record what they ask of you. But when I go back and listen to some of the early stuff that I did, even just for practice, at the time, I was convinced that I was well on my way to being a voice actor without needing training, without anything like, "Oh, I got this nailed. Look how good this sounds." I would show it to friends and family, which is probably the worst thing you can do, because most friends and family are just going to say, "Oh man, that sounds great," because they have no training in knowing what something good sounds like. Fortunately, I had some very honest friends that told me, "No, you still need a little work." But I was still perhaps a little overconfident at times. And now when I go back to listen to it, not that I've reached my pinnacle by any means, but I've progressed enough to be able to go back and listen to my original work and think, wow, that's bad. It's important to have proof of your progress. Know how far you've come, because it's encouraging. Even if you still have a long way to go, knowing that you've improved from when you started and having the proof of that in front of you is going to be a huge boost. And number 1, this might come with a little bit of a harsh truth, but enjoy the ride and have fun. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Enjoy the ride. Now, I don't mean that as in go with the flow, enjoy the process, just do things as they come to you. I don't necessarily mean it like that. I mean that auditioning is hard work. Practicing is tedious work. Researching takes a long time, and it costs money. If you don't enjoy the process of auditioning, if you don't enjoy grabbing a copy and trying to bring some life out of it, if you don't enjoy the process of processing and editing your work and sending it to someone, then maybe this isn't for you. If you don't find joy in those little things, then you're likely never going to get to the point where you're seeing a good amount of success. Doesn't mean you won't see any at all. But even in just my first short year I've seen enough to know that the work that's involved, even as I do it part-time, still needs to be enjoyed if you're going to be able to do this full-time and long-term. I mentioned also have fun. And I say have fun because once you start doing this and you start getting to the repetitions, if you find that you are enjoying it, you'll find yourself having fun with it. Listen, you're going to get ignored a lot more than you're going to get recognized. You're going to get denied and looked over way more than you're going to get shortlisted. And you're certainly going to get passed up a lot more than you're going to win in general. And if that's not something you can accept, if that's something that's a little difficult to grasp, then it's going to be a tough ride. I feel like I come with a little bit of an advantage. I've been working in sales forever, and part of sales is going through rejection over and over and over again, pretty much as a part of your career. So I'm kind of grateful for that little bit of training that I've had unknowingly, but it doesn't mean that you can't come into this with that knowledge of knowing that that's how it's going to be and accept it. Because once you do accept that, this becomes a bit easier. Knowing that, okay, well, I submitted 10 auditions today. None of them got shortlisted today. Great, I'll try again tomorrow. I submit 5 auditions tomorrow and one of them got shortlisted. Cool. All right, now we're getting somewhere. Those days will go back and forth. And eventually you get to the point where you submit 10 auditions a day and 5 will get shortlisted. I'm sure of it. But it is a harsh truth that if you're not enjoying the actual process of auditioning and going through the tough repetitions of doing all of this over and over again, then this might not be for you. But enjoy it as best you can. If you can find the joy in it, if you can find the fun in doing all the little steps that get you to where you get recognized, then this is going to be awesome. I'm only in my first year and I've already enjoyed the hell out of it, and I'm not stopping anytime soon. So there you go. Those are my 10 lessons that I've learned here in my first year of voiceover. But there's one more thing I wanted to recognize. This being my first year in voiceover also means that it's my first year on YouTube. And I didn't really know what to expect when I created this channel. I just intended on putting some information out there so that if someone's looking to get started in the business, they'll see what it's like, whether I succeeded or not. What I never anticipated was meeting so many great people as a result. And those people make up this number here, 800 total subscribers. Now, I'm sure there are people that have gotten a lot more subscribers in their first year on YouTube. That's great. I'm not necessarily here to create this giant channel, but it is really cool to see that number. Along the way, I've tried to recognize when I hit 100 and 500 and things like that, and I never really got around to putting it in one of my videos. But I wanted to recognize that, because in those 800 I've met some fantastic people. Some of you have become really great friends. Some of you I look forward to working with here in the future. And those are the things that I didn't really anticipate or expect when I created the channel. So thank you very much to all you guys that are the regulars. You know who you are. We interact in the comments and things like that. Can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it. But if you are new to the channel and you stuck around this far, thank you very much. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and hopefully you stick around for some more, because there's definitely a lot more to talk about as we go through this. We'll see what year 2 brings. Hopefully a lot more success than year 1 did. Thanks very much, and we'll talk soon.